You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Live at 4. What a nice Tuesday out.
It is nice. Nice to see the sun,
Yeah.
and it's gradually getting a little warmer.
We like that. I will take it.
Yeah, me too.
Well, let's go outside and get a look at our first warn forecast. Meteorologist Jacob Montesano is out there enjoying this beautiful weather. Jacob?
Yeah, with the sun shining and the very little wind, the temperatures feel a lot warmer than what they actually are. When I stepped out here, it does not feel like 46. It kind of feels more like 56 out here. But current temperatures are in the middle 40s to lower 50s across the area. But as I look up, a lot of sunshine, a few clouds here and there, but we are very dry in southern Wisconsin. Had a few rain and even some light snow showers move through earlier, but nothing of that sort right now. Throughout the evening, it's going to continue to be pretty nice. Again, with no wind, these temperatures will feel a little bit better. 40s into the upper 30s throughout the evening. And as we head into the overnight hours, lows will drop into the upper 20s. Very typical, very close to the average lows for this time of the year. Partly to mostly cloudy skies, still fairly dry, maybe a light shower or snow shower overnight. But for the most part, we're still going to be dry. And for tomorrow, really is going to be the last completely dry day for a while, as we have several chances of rain starting Thursday and continuing throughout the weekend. So I'll talk more in detail about that coming up a little bit later.
Thank you, Jacob. Construction is underway on Sayin Road in Fitchburg. Now, this is a place that has faced criticism for its safety.
Our Jalen Banks caught up with the city of Fitchburg about what improvements you can expect.
After years of planning, public input, concern, and one unfortunate death, construction on South Sayin Road in Fitchburg is finally underway. The planning for the road construction project in Fitchburg started during the pandemic, with Phase 1 construction starting in 2022 and carrying over into 2023. Now Phases 2 and 3 are underway, which include South Sayin Road, a place that has seen tragedy in recent years when a local educator was fatally struck by a car.
That pedestrian death really highlighted how many people actually cross Sayin Road at that point. There's a lot of apartments on the east side of the road, and there's a park and nice walking trails on the west side, so a lot of people cross there, especially with dogs.
Construction is scheduled to be completed in late August. For now, reporting in Fitchburg, Jalen Banks, News 3 Now.
Jalen, thank you. The city encourages people to take the detour of East Sherrill to Fish Hatchery Road and East Sherrill to County Highway MM.
Police in Madison are investigating 2 shootings in Madison from Monday. We'll start with the most recent incident that damaged an apartment and a car. At about 10:45 last night, officers responded to shots fired on Kessel Court. They began checking the area and found a car with multiple bullet holes. A bullet also hit a nearby apartment. They collected more than 10 shell casings from the apartment building's driveway.
The other incident of shots fired happened earlier in the day, shortly before 12:30 in the afternoon. On Northport Drive, officers were responding to reports of gunshots in the area of Kennedy Heights at about 11:30. Officers did not find any damage, but did find a shell casing inside an apartment building nearby. No one is hurt. Anyone with any information on either of these incidents should call Madison Area Crime Stoppers. The number is 608-266-6014. You can also submit a tip online at p3tips.com, and you can share your information anonymously. Police say they could give a reward to someone whose tip leads to the arrest of someone involved.
Monona police are looking for the person involved in this hit and run earlier this month. On March 16th, a 2003 Chevy Suburban registered in Dodge County hits a 2025 BMW SUV while pulling into a parking spot. Then it backs up and drives away. The SUV has thousands of dollars in damage. This happened in a parking lot on Monona Drive. The video is from the business surveillance. Monona police is asking for help finding the suspect vehicle and its driver. Anyone with information about the incident should call Monona police at 608-222-0463.
The spring election is 1 week from today.
News 3 Now wants to make sure everyone remembers to vote. So next Tuesday, April 1st, polls open at 7 and close at 8. Everyone who's in line at 8 still gets to vote. You can check if you're registered at My Vote vote.wi.gov. That's where you can type in your address and find your polling place and all of the races on your ballot. If you're voting absentee, you need to make sure the clerk has your ballot by 8 o'clock Tuesday night. If you mailed in your ballot or put it in a drop box, you can track it on the My Vote website by clicking Track My Ballot.
Here's what you'll need when you go to the polls next Tuesday. You'll need a valid photo ID. That can be a Wisconsin driver's license, a DOT-issued identification card, a passport, or a military ID card from the United States Uniformed Services.
On everyone's ballot, the race for state superintendent and state Supreme Court justice. News 3 Now has been covering these two races very closely. Our Ellie LaLiberte has sat down with both superintendent candidates, Brittany Kinzer and incumbent Dr. Jill Underly, and followed them on the campaign trail. And our Will Keneally has spoken with both Supreme Court candidates and done a reality check on their ads.
You can find all of those stories and interviews and more election coverage on channel3000.com. You can also receive updates on the election as soon as we get them directly to your phone with the free Channel 3000 mobile app. We'll have wall-to-wall coverage on Tuesday, starting right here on Live at 4.
When Baraboo voters go to the polls next week, they'll decide on more than just state superintendent. There are also school referenda on the ballot all across Wisconsin.
Our Ellie LaLiberte shows us why the Baraboo School District says it needs millions of dollars. Ellie?
Well, Susan, district officials tell me that the elementary schools are not keeping up with community needs. That's why voters will see a question on their ballot to approve a roughly $70 million referendum. The district describes the referendum as tax neutral, so no property taxes will be raised more than they already are. Now, what that means is that as a referendum debts are paid off, new debts would replace it. If approved, East, Alberman, and Gordon L. Wilson elementary schools will all see a facelift.
We have significant capital improvement needs because our buildings, some of them are getting very close to 70 years old. We definitely have needs for large group and small group instructional spaces, and then we have needs for safety enhancements as safety protocols continue to change. We want to give our kids every opportunity to be as safe in school as possible.
Baraboo voters already voted down a school referenda in November. The district asked for roughly $88 million, which would have had tax implications. Now, Baraboo is only one of 28 school districts in our viewing area alone that's asking voters for more money this April.
And Ellie, hasn't that been a big issue for the state superintendent race too?
Yeah, it's been a super key one. Both candidates have said that they want to fix the funding formula, of course, having different ways that they want to do that. And it's also important to note that in 2024, Wisconsin voters actually approved a record number of referenda. So it's definitely something that people are paying attention to, and so are the candidates.
So will we.
Yeah.
Ellie, thank you.
Thank you.
Speaking of voting, right now you can vote for a local veteran that you think is deserving of the Spirit of Service Award. Our partners at Vortex narrowed the more than 200 nominations down to these final 5. Voting is now open on channel3000.com through March 30th. You can look for their stories on News 3 Now and our mobile app. A winner will be announced April 2nd, and that person takes home $5,000 presented by Vortex. Still to come on Live at 4, what we know about a security lapse in Washington, D.C.
And the nation's infrastructure gets its report card, where we improved and where we can do better. Welcome back. President Donald Trump appears to be backing up his national security team after inadvertently leaking details of a military strike to a journalist on the messaging app Signal.
But some lawmakers are demanding answers. CBS News' Erica Brown reports from Capitol Hill.
President Trump says he stands behind his national security team after sensitive details of a U.S. bombing attack on Houthi rebels were discussed on the messaging app Signal in a text chain that included a reporter.
We have an amazing group. Our national security now is stronger than it's ever been.
Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, was inadvertently included in the group chat.
I've never seen anything like this. I've never heard of anything quite like this.
Goldberg said military operations and their timing were discussed and said Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth shared sensitive operational details, including information about targets, weapons, and attack sequencing. Waltz defended his team's use of the Signal app and tried to point the finger back at Goldberg.
This one in particular, I've never met, don't know. never communicated with, and we are looking into and reviewing how the heck he got into this room.
On Capitol Hill, reaction appears split mostly along party lines, with Democrats sharply criticizing the leak and Republicans downplaying the significance.
Look, mistakes happen. If it was a mistake, it is what it is, and it won't happen again. I know that.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe were on the text chain and were already scheduled to testify at a hearing Tuesday, where Democrats demanded answers about whether classified material was shared.
I'm not going to get into the specifics.
Why are you going to get into the specifics? Is it because it's all classified?
Because this is currently under review by the National Security
Because
Council.
it's all classified? If it's not classified, share the text now.
The president says no classified material was included in the texts. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Senator Roger Wicker, the Republican chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, told CBS News that his committee is considering, quote, our options as to whether hearings are needed to look further into the matter.
Research on HIV is coming to a halt. The National Institutes of Health has halted funding for dozens of HIV-based research grants. According to the NIH, the cuts align with President Trump's executive order on what he deems as wasteful spending. The United Nations says AIDS-related deaths will surge globally without financial backing from the U.S. Federal data shows 1.2 million Americans currently have HIV. The disease has caused more than 700,000 deaths in the U.S. since 1981.
The nation's report card on its infrastructure upkeep is out. The American Society of Civil Engineers is giving America's infrastructure a grade of C, slightly up from previous reports. That's largely due to investments made during former President Joe Biden's administration. The report examines everything from roads and dams to drinking water and railroads. It warns federal funding has to be sustained or increased to avoid further deterioration and escalating costs. This report only comes out once every 4 years. Public parks improved from a D+ to a C-, but that could change with President Trump's slashing of National Park Service staffing. The energy sector received a D+, down from a C-. Roads remain in very poor shape with a D+, just slightly better than its previous grade of D, and aviation came in with a D+ as well.
The White House says Ukraine and Russia will eliminate the use of force in the Black Sea, allowing commercial vessels to pass through safely. The announcement followed meetings in Saudi Arabia. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed in a news conference in Kyiv that Ukraine has agreed to stop using military force in the Black Sea. The Kremlin, however, said it would only implement the deal when restrictions on its banks, food, and fertilizer exports are lifted.
The Palestinian co-director of the Oscar-winning documentary No Other Land is out of Israeli custody.
Hamdan Bilal was released earlier today after a group of Israeli settlers attacked him at his West Bank home on Monday. Israel's military says groups of Israelis and Palestinians were throwing rocks at each other when the incident happened. The IDF says terrorists started the rock throwing, damaging some of their vehicles. But witnesses say the violence began when Israeli settlers attacked the village with batons and knives. No Other Land documents the eviction of Palestinians from their homes in the occupied West Bank. The United Nations and international law designate the Israeli settlements there as illegal.
The incident comes as Israeli strikes kill scores of Palestinians in Gaza. Right now, Egypt is putting forth a new proposal to try to get the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas back on track. That deal ended early last week when Israel's military surprise bombed Gaza. Gaza's health ministry says the number of people killed since the war began in October of 2023 has surpassed 50,000. In the newly proposed deal, Hamas would release 5 hostages, including an American Israeli, in return for Israel allowing humanitarian aid into Gaza and a week-long pause in fighting. Israel would also have to release hundreds of Palestinians from its prisons.
A newly created FBI task force is investigating attacks on Tesla around the country. The most recent incident of what the FBI director calls domestic terrorism was an attempt to firebomb a dealership in Texas. The attacks have increased since Tesla owner Elon Musk became a prominent figure in the Trump administration.
Let's get a check on the forecast now. All is quiet in the weather department today. Here's Jacob with the details.
Yeah, for the rest of today and tomorrow, it is going to remain quiet and nice. But after that, we're going to see almost daily chances of precipitation. So nice for tomorrow, showers for Thursday morning. A lot of Thursday, though, will be dry. And then over the weekend, we are expecting on and off rain, potentially some thunderstorms, although right now we are not expecting any severe weather. So dry throughout Wednesday, but starting later in the afternoon and Wednesday evening, we'll see some clouds roll through, although we're not expecting the precipitation until a little bit later in the night towards Thursday morning, where we are going to see some passing showers. Could see a few rumbles of thunder, but notice how quickly that rain will clear out. Can't completely rule out some light sprinkles throughout the afternoon, but that consistent rain will mostly be during the morning. Could even see some sunshine before the day is over. And then as we get into Friday morning, we're going to see more consistent rain move back into the area. And then really from Friday throughout the entire weekend, we're going to see on and off chances of rain. It does look like it will be mostly light Friday with more consistent rain moving in Friday night into Saturday. And although it's hard to pinpoint just exactly when we will see the most rainfall, it does look like the best chance will be Saturday night, where we could see some showers and a few storms move through with snow in northern Wisconsin, and some of that wintry mix could creep down south into the northern portion of our viewing area. This is late Saturday into Sunday morning, and as temperatures cool down Sunday here in southern Wisconsin, we could be seeing some wintry mix and some snow on the back end of this system. So timing out the entire precip chances, again, we'll see that rain kind of begin late tomorrow night into Thursday, and then we'll have almost a daily chance and a nightly chance of precipitation. Best chance will be Saturday into Saturday night, and these precipitation chances for Sunday night into Monday, that'll be the chance of a wintry mix, maybe even some snow, although we're not expecting any accumulating snow. But we are expecting plenty of rainfall, as I mentioned, possibly up to, if not over an inch over the next 7 days. Looks like the most precipitation will actually be north of our area in central Wisconsin, but all of the area expected to see some needed precipitation. And as we look at the drought monitor, you can see southern Wisconsin dealing with that moderate drought right now. Some areas, without a drought, so it definitely could be worse, but the rain that we're going to see will certainly make things better. Now, looking at the full 7 to 10 day forecast, temperatures during all of this will be pretty up and down. They're going to warm up very nicely for Friday. And I do want to mention, although it says rain Thursday and Friday, it's only about a 30% chance, and there's a good chance we'll be dry for a good chunk of those days, although Friday will be very windy. However, high temperatures will be near 70. Now, for next week, could see that more consistent rain last for longer over the weekend, especially Saturday night. And as those temperatures fall, some snow is expected on the back end of the system, where highs will only be near 40 for Monday. And it also will be pretty windy for Sunday and Monday as well. Now, later in the week, we have some smaller chances of precipitation as those temperatures rebound to near 60 by next Friday. But overall, this rainy forecast, very typical for this time of the year.
Thank you, Jacob. Even with the rain, my ears perked up when I heard nearly 70.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting there.
Well, coming up on Live at 4, it's Diabetes Alert Day.
Plus, how many Americans have the disease and don't even know it. We'll talk about that when Live at 4 continues. Welcome back. Some startling new research shows preventable deaths in the U.S. are on the rise. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association looked at preventable and treatable health problems and found that life expectancy in the U.S. is dropping. At the same time, health is improving in Europe and other wealthy countries. The U.S. also spends more than any other country on health care.
A contributing factor, many Americans don't even know they're actually sick. An estimated 38 million Americans have diabetes, and 9 million don't know they have it. That's why it's important to get tested for the disease. It can help you understand your risks and take steps to manage and even prevent type 2 diabetes.
By the time most people find out, if they don't go for regular checkups, they've already had diabetes for quite a few years, and then they're kind of playing catch up from that moment on.
While you can develop the disease at any age, you're more likely to have the disease if you're overweight, obese, over 35, have a family history of the disease, or have a sedentary lifestyle. People of certain ethnicities and races are also more likely to have diabetes. People with a higher risk include African Americans, American Indians, Pacific Islanders, and some Asian Americans and Hispanic people.
According to the State Department of Health Services, 1 in 10 Native American people in Wisconsin have diabetes. That's true for 1 in 7 African Americans and 1 in 5 Hispanic Americans. In total, diabetes affects 1 in 11 people in our state. To get tested for diabetes, talk to your primary care doctor for a blood test.
And coming up on Live at 4, changes could be coming to how your child's GPA is calculated.
The new mechanism that Madison School District is considering when Live at 4 continues.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Oh, there's that sunshine that we love to see.
That's a great shot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very pretty. The weather words today, getting warmer, but turning unsettled. Some April showers are going to be coming pretty soon, but today, Jacob's out on the patio savoring the vitamin D.
Yeah, tonight and tomorrow will kind of be the last completely dry periods, although we still can't rule out a light shower tonight. But looking at right now, 40s across the board, lower 50s. When the sun is hitting you with the very little wind, it actually feels warmer than what we are seeing. And like I mentioned, very little wind across the area. Even the gusty spots only up to around 10 to 15 miles per hour here in Dane County. The winds are very calm. Now, as we take a look at the current radar, very dry right now in southern Wisconsin. You can see a few light showers kind of forming in southern Minnesota. That may impact parts of our area overnight. However, if it does precipitate, it will be very, very light, and much of the area will not see anything. The heaviest will stay to the west and southwest of us across Iowa. But again, can't rule out a light shower, especially in the southwestern portion of Wisconsin. But by the time we get to sunrise Wednesday, it will be very sunny at that point with just a few passing clouds throughout the day. Low temperatures tonight, very close to normal for this time of the year. Lows will drop into the upper 20s. Could see some areas hang on to the lower 30s. But then for tomorrow, it will be even warmer than today with a little bit of sunshine and a little bit of cloud cover depending on the time. But we're not expecting any precipitation. But tomorrow will be the last day that we're not going to see any rain for the entire day and for quite a while. I'll talk more in detail about the nearly daily rain chances starting Thursday. I'll have those details coming up a bit later.
Thank you, Jacob. The Madison Metropolitan School District is looking at new ways to help graduates get into UW universities.
As Armand Rahman explains, it starts with grades in the classroom.
Right now in most Dane County high schools, an A is an A, no matter how hard the classes on your transcript are. But a spokesperson with MMSD says that could change, inspired by the universities of Wisconsin's new admissions programs. Wisconsin Guarantee guarantees admission to all schools except UW-Madison to all first-year applicants from Wisconsin high schools with GPAs in the top 10% of their class at the end of junior year. UW-Madison is included if they're in the top 5% of their class. So MMSD is weighing the idea of weighing grades earned in AP courses higher.
I have a stepdaughter who took some AP classes and wasn't in the top 10% of her class because there was a really tough class. So, looking at the rigor of their classes and what the other 10% of their kids, what classes they were taking.
A spokesperson with MMSD says they're gathering more feedback from high school students, their families, and colleges through the summer. The earliest the weighted grades could go into effect is next school year. Coming up at 6, I'll go more into how GPA is currently determined at MMSD and how weighing the grades will impact the students that high school teacher and tutor work with. Reporting in Madison, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
Thanks, Armand. You can now view exactly how the Trump administration's cuts to federal funding affects libraries in your neighborhood. The state's Department of Public Instruction released this map. It's the newest element the DPI has put out to track the administration's effect on Wisconsin. It highlights congressional districts and illustrates the effects of federal funding on each of the 15 library systems across our state. And that includes the number of libraries per system, the amount of public library state aid and federal federal aid as a percentage of the system's total funding. You can find the map on dpi.wi.gov.
Wall Street's following one of its best days of the last year with a quiet performance. The Dow gained 4 points, the Nasdaq is up 83, and the S&P 500 is up 9.
Wisconsin women's basketball has a new coach.
Robin Pington will lead the team. She's coming to Madison from Missouri, where she served as head coach for 15 seasons. She leaves the state with a 250 and 218 overall record. She also recruited Missouri's first All-American guard, Sophie Cunningham. The Tigers appeared in multiple NCAA tournaments with Cunningham, but have not qualified for the tournament since she left the school after the 2018-2019 season.
Well, the Badgers made the announcement this morning on the X account saying the team is excited for the new era, and the coach is hoping to turn around Wisconsin's program, which hasn't made the NCAA tournament since 2019. She says she's excited to get to Madison and to get to work.
The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is asking for your help to track frog and toad populations. Every year, the DNR puts out its Wisconsin Frog and Toad Survey to help document frog and toad breeding calls throughout the state in the spring and the summer. Launched in 1984, it is the longest-running survey the DNR has. It helps the agency's conservation biologists better understand Wisconsin's 12 frog and toad species.
And there are 3 ways that you can participate as a frogger. You can do the traditional survey, so driving a preset route for 3 total nights, 1 each in early spring, late spring, and early summer. You'll make 10 stops a night, listen to 5 minutes at each site, and document what you hear. The other 2 options are the mink, frog, and phenology surveys. If you're not up for that, but you want to help the researchers and the frogs, you can donate to the Endangered Resources Fund or make a donation on your state income tax forms.
Be a frogger.
Yeah, I have the little Frogger video game in my head
comes
now.
in your head.
Yeah.
Coming up on Live at 4, rates of food insecurity in Dane County are higher now than they were during the pandemic.
The reason behind it and how you can help.
Welcome back. A startling recent report from Second Harvest Food Bank and Public Health Madison, Dane County shows that more people are food insecure now than they were during the pandemic.
The report shows 1 in 10 people in Dane County is considered food insecure, including 1 in 8 children. Michelle Orgay is the Executive Director of Second Harvest Food Bank. Welcome to Live at 4. Hello.
Hi, Michelle. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. We hear the term food insecure quite a bit. What does it mean, and what does it look like? Who does it affect?
Food insecurity is the term used for when folks don't have access to enough nutritious food to have an active and healthy life. And it can affect folks in different degrees, different intensities at different times of the year, but it affects about 130,000 folks in the 16 county service area that Second Harvest works within in southwestern Wisconsin. Yeah.
Wow, that's sobering. You've been with Second Harvest 6 years. In the time that you've been there, help us put in perspective what the increase in demand looks like.
Yes, I've been at Second Harvest for 6 years, but I've been in food banking since 2001, and I've just seen it increase a lot. And it has increased, during the pandemic we were distributing, or prior to the pandemic we were distributing this much food, and during the pandemic it doubled, and now it's twice as much as we were distributing during the pandemic. And we thought it was a lot during the pandemic, and we rose to that challenge, and now it's twice as much as that, and it's not slowing down. We're on pace to distribute more this year. We distributed more last year than ever before, and we're on pace to go.
Last year.
Yep, and we're on pace to do another record. It's startling, and it's not a record we want to have to break, but we're thanks to the support of the community, we're hoping to be able to rise to that occasion again.
And people who might be food insecure, I think sometimes we have these preconceived notions that someone who's food insecure is a certain type of person, but it can affect anyone. It can be someone who is living paycheck to paycheck or just needs a little extra help. So this seems like really significant.
Yes, for the lowest wage earners, paychecks have increased, but it has not increased at the percentage that costs have. And while food insecurity affects the folks that are experiencing it, it also affects folks who, if your kid is in class with somebody who's experiencing food insecurity, it affects your kids because the teacher has to spend more time with the other kids, right? And if you're working with folks who are experiencing food insecurity, then there's absenteeism, there's health issues, they can't contribute as much. It affects everyone, even if it isn't affecting somebody directly, it affects everyone in some way or another.
You rely primarily on donations, and we are in a very generous community, but are you worried that this is going to be unsustainable?
Yes, at a time where need is higher than ever before, where our partners are seeing twice as many folks coming for food assistance and food support, folks who've never come for food support before, we're concerned. And resources are lower and need is higher. It's not a good combination, and we need support more than ever. There are a lot of challenges facing folks and facing Second Harvest and our partners, and we need the community support to fill that gap more than ever. So financial donations are vital.
Yeah, with all this in mind, what does the future look like?
Future looks like hard work. We're here for it, but we can't do it without the support of our partners, our community, and the report that you mentioned has some information in it about how folks can help, the reasons for this, the data. There are facts in there, and that's at Second Harvest SW, as in southwest.org/report.
It's such a multi-layered onion, but is there a way to identify why this is such a big problem right now? I mean, it's, as you said, higher wages, but higher cost of living as well. And
I think it's a bit of a delayed effect too. During the pandemic, there were a lot more supports for folks. There were support for folks, and there were eviction moratoriums. There were supports. There were the tax credits that folks were able to access for children, child tax credits. There were food supports. There were increased SNAP benefits, which were formerly known as food stamps, right? Food share, and those left, and now there's other supports for folks. They just keep decreasing. So I think it's on top of the increased challenge that folks are seeing, the increased costs, on top of the decreased support for folks. It's a lot of combination of things.
And Michelle, before we go, very quickly, where can people go if they want to help?
They can visit our website, secondharvestsw.org, and or they can go to the websites of the partners in their community to find out. So if they're not local here in Madison, they can find out where in their communities they can support their own folks.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks for putting out the call today. Great to see you.
Thank you so much.
Jacob has a look at your first warn forecast when we come back.
Plus, whether 2 otters who escaped from a zoo up north, remember we showed you this yesterday, we'll tell you if they're still on the loose when we come back.
Well, here is a beautiful live look at Ruidoso, New Mexico. Looks wonderful out there, 68 degrees, mostly sunny.
Beautiful. I've never been to New Mexico. That one's on my list.
Well, start planning.
Get on it.
All right, back here at home, we have a pretty comfortable day out there. Here is our first warn forecast with meteorologist Jacob Madison.
Yeah, today very nice. Tomorrow is going to be even nicer, and then we are going to see almost a daily chance of rain for the next several days after that. We'll see some morning showers Thursday, although Thursday, not going to see too much rainfall. We'll see the rain a little bit heavier by the time we get to the weekend, but even through early next week, we're going to see a chance of rain or potentially snow each and every day. Now, as we take a look at the forecast, this is starting Wednesday evening into Wednesday night. That's where we're going to see a more consistent rain potentially move back into the area in the form of some light showers late Wednesday night into early Thursday. But that rain does look to clear out pretty quickly, and by the time we get to the afternoon, we could see some sunshine, but we are expecting dry conditions. Can't rule out a stray shower, but for the most part, Thursday will just be raining in the morning. And then as we get towards Friday, pretty similar situation where we'll see some rain move through during the morning. Fairly dry by the afternoon hours, but we'll see more rain move in overnight Friday. And then throughout the day on Saturday, we'll see some lingering showers, possibly a few storms, and the best chance of rain over the next couple of days will be late Saturday night into early Sunday, where we are going to see some passing showers, maybe a few storms, and we'll see some snow in northern Wisconsin, and some of that wintry mix could creep down into the northern portion of our area. And as we get towards Sunday, the winds will shift out of the north and bring in colder air, which may lead to southern Wisconsin seeing some of that wintry mix. Now, we're not exactly confident in terms of how much snow we'll see. Very unlikely we'll see that, but rainfall does look very likely to be in abundance over the next couple of days, with possibly up to an inch, if not over an inch. It does look like we'll see a little bit more precipitation north of us in central Wisconsin, and this is certainly some much needed rainfall. As we take a look at the current drought monitor, southern Wisconsin dealing with that moderate drought. Not a drought in central Wisconsin, but we still are in the position in the southern portion of the state where we could see and we could need some more rainfall. Now, as far as temperatures during all of this, they're going to warm up very nicely for Friday. Highs will be near 70, but then as that system progresses throughout the weekend, those temperatures are going to drop quite a bit for Sunday and Monday. They will rebound towards the end of the 10-day forecast. But before they rebound, we could be seeing some snow when they do dip down to highs at near 40. Now, I do want to point out that although it shows rain Thursday and Friday, it's likely not going to rain the entire day. So that high near 70, you will likely have points during the day on Friday to get out and enjoy it. Might be a little bit windy, but it will be windier by Sunday and Monday, and also will be cooler by that time frame as well. Now, over the weekend, could be a washout, especially that later Saturday hour where we could see that line of showers and storms move through, especially overnight into early Sunday. And then we are going to dry out a little bit for Tuesday before some more light precipitation chances return for the middle and end of next week.
Thank you, Jacob. And a quick reminder, right now you can vote for a local veteran you think is deserving of the Spirit of Service Award. Our partners at Vortex narrowed the more than 200 nominations down to these final 5. Voting is now open on channel3000.com through March 30th. You can look for their stories on News 3 Now and our mobile app. A winner will be announced April 2nd, and that person takes home $5,000 presented by Vortex. Can't wait to see.
Me too.
We'll be right back. All right, bear with me here. This next story is one you ought to know about.
Well done.
Yeah, was
That's some good writing.
2 otters are still on the run after escaping from a zoo in Green Bay during a winter storm on March 20th.
Footage from the new Zoo Adventure Park shows the wild night North American river otters Louie and Ophelia out in the fresh snowfall. The bummer there, though, is they made tracks.
They did.
Yep. They're bouncing along and sliding on their bellies, and these belly slides may be the key to finding them because zoo staff said they leave recognizable tracks to follow, although I'm sure that snow up in Green Bay is probably gone by now. According to the staff, the otters broke out of their habitat through a small breach in the fencing, and they managed to enlarge it enough just to squeeze through. The zoo staff has encouraged locals to report any sightings of the otters along with any footage so they can track their possible location.
Can I go on special assignment and try to find the otters?
There you go.
That sounds
the
nice.
Otter hunt.
All right, utterly ridiculous. We'll be right back.
Here's what's coming up tomorrow on Live at 4. We'll talk about where voters stand 1 week before the election for state Supreme Court. And coming up later on News 3 Now at 6, what buildings the Baraboo referendum funds will work to improve if the referendum is approved. Our Ellie La Liberté has that story at 6. Thanks for joining us for Live at 4 today. We hope to see you back here tomorrow. News 3 Now at 5 starts right after this.